What up, everyone? This is Mr. Lord, Dr. Professor, Dark Joker, here with another edition of Traditional Fans with Opinions, where I'll give my reviews for whoever I watched, read, or played today. And who are Traditional Fans with Opinions? That is myself, and that is you, the viewers. With all that being said, on with the reviews. My Hero Academia Vigilantes Episode 4. So in this one, you know, the Crawler, Knuckle Duster, and Pop are still searching for this B user. And Knuckle Duster doesn't seem to want to talk about the B user. And then Kuin, who is the B user, talks to her boss through basically like a phone or like ear pod, whatever. And her boss, let's just say fans of the original manga will recognize his voice very quickly. You know, basically, I'll just say it's All for One. All for One is Kuin's boss. He's responsible for what's going on. So basically, All for One's the big bad in this story. And so basically, All for One tells Kuin to be more, pragmatic when it comes to who she picks to give trigger to. And basically, he wants the vigilantes. All for One wants the vigilantes because, they're stopping, the vigilantes, Knuckle Duster, Crawler, and Pop are stopping, the instant villains with, to help the heroes. But when they stop them early, the heroes and cops don't get too involved too much. So there's not as much investigation. And so that's why All for One's okay with them being around. And so Kuin first finds a junkie, like some drug user to give it to, and the guy basically goes freaking nuts. Goes on some rampage, like Knuckle Duster, who's quirkless, technically. Um, Basically, he's barely able to dodge attacks. What happens is how he beats the guy is basically so the instant villain uses all his might to prepare for one attack, but it leaves an opening, allows Knuckle Duster to do a big punch to knock him out. Huh. Basically, it cheers him up because he's finally been able to fight a strong opponent. Yeah, and basically, but despite the defeat, Huin and All for One are still able to get data. And then Inganium, the original Inganium, who we know to be, Tengen Leon's, older brother, Tensei. So this is a few years before that. So Tenya Lita, his brother. So that's the second Inganium, Tenya. The original one is Tensei. That's the one in this show. So this is a few years before My Hero Academia, before the main series. So just before Tensei gets wrecked by Stain. Yeah. Then basically so Inganium comes across Koichi as basically so Tensei's out on the jog, just I guess exercise it even though he's fast. I mean, granted his jets go through his arms, not his legs. So basically he has to Naruto run the entire thing whenever he uses powers. So and Koichi's using his quirk to get around, you know, to try to get quickly, and then basically Inganium and Koichi talk a little bit. And learns how and Ingenium helps Koichi figure out how to brake. Basically, how he does it is like when he while he's still moving, like let's say he's moving forward. While he's still moving forward, he switches momentum to go backwards to help, to brace. It basically helps him brake. And he tries it out and it works. You know, basic physics. And so Ingenium, it gives him an idea for how to like defeat this bat villain, which is so like so Ingenium takes out his like airbags so that he has less weight. And so basically his team provides a full set of airbags on the end of like this highway that he uses instead. And then basically like yeah, and Ingenium offers Koichi a spot at his team because so there's a way to get a hero license without going to school for it. Basically, if you can work as some support staff and do some work, you can work your way to getting the hero license instead of like going to school for it. So basically, an apprenticeship. So I think is what it basically is. And so now later, when Ingenium fights the bat a second time, Koichi and Knuckle Buster easily take out the bat guy by basically tripping him, and Ingenium thanks Koichi for his help the next day and asks him for the business card back because he thinks that Koichi's found his calling as a vigilante. Koichi's not happy about having to give back the card, but Ingen, so Ingenium is being a nice guy about it. He's like, yeah, but yeah, I really like this episode. This was funny episode. You have, it's interesting to see Tinya Lita back, in the little cameo, and his older brother is definitely got a lot of similarities to him. Not as serious, but he's like, you're nice. He's a nice guy. And it's just funny Koichi's reaction. Probably a little mild compared to how Deku would react to meeting him. But it's still good. This was a this was a good episode, and I look forward to next week's. Zatsu Tabi, that's Journey episode 4. So in this one, Chika goes with growing mentor Fuyun, and Fuyun's like assistant Riri to like Kyoto. Basically, Riri just goes along to get drunk. Like she really likes sake. And so basically they go to different spots in Kyoto, including the hot springs. And then Riri just gets drunk. And everyone just and that's really it. It's funny, everyone bonds. Fuyun's thinking about manga the entire time. Which makes sense given her job. It's a funny episode. I really enjoyed it. And yeah, I mean, there's not much of it. It's just someone getting drunk, someone thinking about manga, someone else along for the ride. It's freaking funny. And I look forward to next week's. What's in episode 11? So this one, Watson has to help this guy named Dean, who was his comrade from when he was in the military. Basically, Dean has like PTSD and some disorder that like basically so Dean lost a leg there and the IED exploded. There's some like Afghan kid basically was was acting as a suicide bomber. Yeah, yeah, it's dark what happens. Basically, Dean blamed Watson for it, but near the end, Dean tells Watson that he reality blames himself, and he wanted to apologize to Watson for blaming him. And so, so it's a real, the PTSD and whatever disorder he has, it's caused these illusions to appear. Like, that causes Dean to think he's back in Afghanistan. So everyone's trying to figure out what's going on. It's real that there's some disorder he has that was basically activated through Dean trying to do a bunch of exercise to re-enlist, which is hard to do if you're missing a leg, but he was wanting to serve his country, which I respect that. I respect anyone who's willing to serve this country. And so then also the other thing we got that's going on is Shinwell and some lady that works for Moriarty. So basically, the lady does something with one of the twins' girlfriends, steals a lipstick thing or something, possibly poisons it, then tells Shinwell that his services are no longer required. So that's probably gonna set up whatever next week's case is, and Shinwell's actions are gonna come back on him probably next week. As far as how the case with the soldier goes, yeah, basically Watson's over the Hell Moon. They make up. Watson meets up with this Afghan lady who he met in Afghanistan, who was basically he wanted to meet and you know basically use some disorder she has to help research it in order to save lives. And basically Dean helps them with that. And that's really it for the episode. It's meant to help set up next week, next week's, which is a first part of a two-part finale, which I think is being done over 2 weeks. It's not a two-episode premiere. Oh, from two-episode finale. But yeah, this was definitely the best episode of the season. That's a low bar to set because every episode sucked. The medical stuff was actually interesting this week. But this still has the stain of being a Sherlock Holmes show without Sherlock Holmes and not set in the UK. So it still has that problem. So yeah, I'd say this is overall mixed. This is a mid episode. And that's it. Did y'all like the stuff I reviewed? And if you have your own opinions about all that, you put all that in the comments. Thank you for watching. And like, subscribe, and all that. And look forward to the next video.